Hello and welcome to the video. If this is your first time, thank you for tuning in. Stick around, and if my content is interesting to you, please consider subscribing and smashing that like button. It'll notify me and let me know what types of content you're interested in. Otherwise, drop a comment below and say hi, or let me know what projects you're working on. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so the file I used was from Thingiverse, and this is the link. I will link it down below as well. So thank you to Kimgooni, and this is the soldier mask right here, and he has all these and also a video as well, and I will link it to, I'll put a link to his YouTube as well in my video because he makes awesome work. I imported it into my slicer and then arranged it. Be sure to check the file digitally before printing. And then everybody loves time-lapse. Time-lapse! Alright. Once the print was finished, I made sure to pull it off, but I still had a lot of post-processing to do because of my calibration settings. It kind of oozed out a little, making it have a bunch of furriness around itself. So I will have to sand all that smooth before actually beginning to paint. And here is the first look of the mask unpainted and snapped together. Make sure to check on the outside and also the inside. You see how furry it is? I gotta sand all that down. And then trying it on my face, bam! Look at that. Fits on perfectly. Alright, now let's get to smoothing. I put on a sanding wheel on my Dremel and then just went at it on all sides and edges. And how I checked how smooth it was I used my finger and I kind of ran it along the surfaces and the edges to make sure there wasn't any burrs that would cut me or scratch at my face if I were to wear the mask. In the painting process, I hit it with a black satin coat of paint and then allowed it to dry, and while it was drying, I worked on the front graphic that will be going on the mask. I decided not to freehand the circle onto the mask itself and used my Cricut Maker in order to cut out the shape and mask it on there. So what I'm doing right now is putting some transfer tape on it by using masking tape, and then I'll transfer it onto the mask so that I can spray paint over it without marking too much of the mask. I blocked all the areas with blue painter's tape that I don't want to spray white, making sure all these areas will stay black in the end after I spray the white circle on there. Before I do anything else, I gotta make sure it's airtight as much as possible to allow just the circle to be painted and everything else to remain black. I really wanted to make sure I didn't have to do more work than I needed to. Double checking all of the nooks and crannies will save time in the long run. So before going forward with the actual white paint, I wanted to do a coat of primer to give it a good base so that the white would be the most opaque it can be against the black, and it would give the line a really sharp look in the end. I'm adding the final white coat on there, going horizontally and vertically just to make sure I get all the spots. Pulling off the masking tape was a lot easier than I anticipated. Even still, I was still careful with peeling it off just to make sure I wasn't peeling the paint off with it. And by the way, if you're still sticking around, please hit that like and subscribe button and hit that bell as well to get notified whenever I drop new content. After freeing the mask, I inspect it and see where I need to refine. So I take a small paintbrush with dab of black and go in and refine all the black areas. Once I refine all the black edges, I want to refine all the white edges. And how I do this is I use a chisel edge paintbrush and I just go over all the lines and areas where I want it to be a little bit more sharp and more crisp. And I repeat this process and let it dry multiple times before moving forward. I take compressed air and I shoot it through all the holes that have paint still stuck in them. And this is while the paint is wet, so that it can actually blow all the way through and it doesn't leave anything in the way. This process can be repeated every time you paint as well. Once dried, I go back and I do another coat just to refine all the edges and make it more opaque so that it can be seen from a far distance. And then I repeat with the compressed air and it should be done. I touch up all the black areas that had white paint kind of splattered on or oversprayed onto it. This will allow for a clean and contrasting look between the white and the black. I ran into a little bit of a rut because I couldn't find any elastic webbing, but I did find some webbing that I salvaged from a backpack with some ladder buckles, and that worked just fine. I was able to cinch it to the right form fitting of my head, and I hot glue gun it to save time. The durability of the glue gun versus sewing is not as great, but it allows me to prototype it and take it off quickly without having to cut threads or anything if I messed up. As I mentioned, I was lucky enough to find 2 sets of webbing for vertically and horizontally, and this will allow the user to put their head in there and cinch it to the correct sizing to fit them. Alright, so the final piece, everything's together. It slides down perfectly, just like the series. And then slipping it over your face, perfectly fine too. I had glasses on, so that might be a little bit in the way, but it still fit on just perfectly fine. It probably hugged my face a little better without the glasses on, but it still works, and the visibility is great. And if you look at the back, the straps are just fine. They just sit on the back of your head. Alright, and that is how you make a Squid Game mask from the Netflix series. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and hit that bell to notify you whenever new content comes out from Foolish. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, don't unbelieve yourself.